reached IDX ESG Leaders Index. Good afternoon, viewers in Indonesia and Singapore. Market Headlines is ready to provide you a number of informations from business, economic, and capital market sectors. With me, Clara Antawijaya, and this is Market Headlines. And yes, viewers, let's open up market headlines with the news regarding Central Statistic Agency, or BPS, noted that Indonesia again recorded a trade balance surplus in November 2022 of 2.6 billion US dollars. And their surplus is in line with a significant improvement on the export and import side on a monthly basis.
The Central Statistics Agency, or BPS, noted that the November trade balance experienced a surplus of 2.6 billion US dollar. Even though it was lower than the previous month's surplus, the head of BPS, Suharyanto, said that this surplus was an encouraging achievement because there was an improvement in both exports and imports on a monthly basis. Based on BPS data, exports in November 2020 were recorded at 15.28 billion US dollar, up by 6.36% from the previous month, or an increase of 9.54% year-on-year. This improvement in exports was supported by increased demand from Indonesia's trading partner countries, as well as an increase in the prices of major commodities such as coal and palm oil. Meanwhile, the import value in November 2020 was recorded at 12.66 billion US dollars, up by 17.4% on a monthly basis. But when compared to November 2019, the import value is still down 17.46%.
Maka neraca perdagangan pada bulan November tahun 2020 ini mencatat surplus sebesar 2,6 miliar. Dan saya harus menyampaikan bahwa surplus ini mengembirakan karena surplus ini terjadi karena adanya kenaikan ekspor yang meningkat baik month to month.
Cumulatively, Indonesia's exports from January to November 2020 reached 146.78 billion US dollars, or decreased 4.22% compared to the same period last year, while the import value from January to November 2020 reached 127.13 billion US dollars, or decreased by 18.91% from last year. From Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel.
In 2021, Indonesia's economic growth is projected at 4.5% or up to 5%. It surely can be reached only if people are compliant with health protocol, so it will ease the pandemic and economic recovery will go faster. Minister of Finance said that the prevention of COVID-19 in the community will depend on the awareness of all parties. By complying with all health protocols and vaccinations efforts in the next year, it is hoped that the economic recovery in 2021 will be faster.
Adalah antara 4,5 hingga 5%. Namun ini sangat tergantung kepada cara kita semuanya untuk membantu menangani, mencegah COVID-19 melalui disiplin kesehatan dan program vaksinasi tahun depan.
Other than COVID-19 prevention, Ministry of Finance ensures that 2021 state budget can bring significant role to speed up the economic recovery. However, state budget composition will be shifted a bit, as the health sector will get bigger proportion. This is due to COVID-19 vaccines disbursement in 2021 that is obviously will need large costs. 2021 state budget new proportion is aimed at accelerating national economic recovery. Government has also set a budget for infrastructure spending, food security, up to development of priority sectors. This step is expected to accelerate economic recovery next year. Jakarta, Raharjo Patmo for IDX Channel. Counting days to Christmas and New Year holiday, National State Electricity Company has prepared 2,300 task force to keep electricity safe. National State Electricity Company, or PLN, will maintain the reliability of the electricity supply during the Christmas and New Year holiday this year. Not only prepares 2,300 task force, PLN also prepares electricity disturbance detector. Underground electricity networks are carefully examined by PLN officers to prevent electrical disturbance. And after that, electricity disturbance protectors are placed under the soil.
Dari sisi personel, kami sudah menyiagakan lebih dari 2.300 orang untuk personel, kemudian ada 131 unit peralatan. UPS sendiri kami siagakan 41 UPS termasuk yang di sini. Ya, ada unit kabel bergerak, ada unit trafo bergerak, ada genset, ada juga mobil yang full wheel drive, ya. Kemudian deteksi gangguan seperti yang tadi kita saksikan semua, kemudian crane dan tentu juga piket-piket, termasuk piket pimpinan kita siagakan di hari libur.
Not only that, the electricity reliability is also completed with uninterrupted power supply or UPS power of 100,000 volt ampere to supply reliable and stable electricity. From Jakarta, Adi Firmansyah for IDX Channel. And yes, viewers, as we know that COVID-19 pandemic has caused weakening people purchasing power, and this led to the decline in per capita expenditure by 2.53%. People's purchasing powers remain sluggish. The main cause for this COVID-19 pandemic, which has strained the people's income and reduced the demand for consumption's good. The indicator went down from 11.3 million rupiah in 2019 to be 11.01 million rupiah in 2020.
Pada tahun ini pengeluaran per kapitanya mengalami penurunan sebesar 2,53%. Jadi sekali lagi, karena adanya COVID, banyak masyarakat yang mengalami penurunan pendapatan, sehingga pengeluaran per kapitanya juga mengalami penurunan dan menghantam komponen IPM dari komponen daya beli.
The implications goes wider to the Human Capital Index. Indonesia's Human Capital Index has shown stagnancy in 2020, only grew by 0.02% as it was reported by Statistik Agency. From Jakarta, Raja Pakmo for IDX Channel. Market headlines will be right back after this quick break. Stay tuned.
Nama saya Devisa Novel, jabatan saat ini di IDX Channel adalah sebagai produser dan sekaligus presenter program yang dibawakan saat ini dengan nama IDX Second Session Closing, terkait juga dengan kondisi capital market Indonesia dan perkembangannya dari waktu ke waktu. Dan saya sangat senang untuk belajar dan berkecimpung di berita ekonomi, khususnya di capital market. Senang sekali saya Devisa Novel dan dapat hadir menemani Anda dalam program spesial dialog webinar on TV.
Setiap minggunya kita akan membahas tema-tema yang sangat menarik. Apa kabar ibu-ibu sekalian?
Alhamdulillah baik.
Salah satu ambisi daripada Kementerian Koperasi dan UMKM bersama Spesco adalah koperasi keren, baru, digital gitu kan, yang kita bisa IT.
Ya halo pemirsa, nama saya Mangi Teracong. Saat ini saya menjabat sebagai presenter dan juga associate producer. Saat ini saya membawakan program IDX Session Closing, di mana di program tersebut saya menganalisa isu-isu ekonomi yang menarik, baik dari luar negeri maupun juga dari dalam negeri. Tentunya hingga saat ini saya masih terus belajar dan saya sangat menikmati profesi tersebut.
Welcome back to Market Headlines. So, viewers, a number of programs and strategies have been prepared by the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing for 2021. So, what programs will be carried out and what are the strategies to pursue these targets? So, let's just go into the first graphic. Here it is through your screen. We can see the priority programs of the Ministry of Public Works and Housing. Here it is. First of all, we can see that the food security program in Central Kalimantan, in North Sumatra, and East Nusa Tenggara. And then after all, for the second one is that the support for the development in the industrial estate in Batang and Subang. And the third one is that support the development of 5 priority tourism destinations. And the fourth one is the cash labor intensive program. And the fifth one is the completions of the special task and national strategic projects. And here it is. I would like to assume that the ministry explained that the first program related to the food security in Central Kalimantan has a potential land area of 165,000 hectares and will be continued to be developed. And meanwhile, related to the other program, the cash labor intensive program, the program budget reaches 18.42 trillion rupiah will be used for the water resources, roads and bridges, housing and many more. And then regarding the special task completions program and the national strategic projects, the Minister of Public Works, Basuki Hadimuljono, stated that throughout 2020, a total of 7 PPP projects had been auctioned with a total project value of 108 trillion rupiah. And yes, viewers, there are still many to others ministry's main programs. So let's take a look at the next graphic. Here it is through the next graphic. We can see the industrial state program. Here it is. We can see that there are 2 regions, mainly in Batang, which is in the East Java region, and then Subang in West Java region. And when we talk about Batang in East Java, it requires land of 4,000 hectares. Meanwhile, in Subang, West Java, it requires 1,600 hectares of land. And if we combine these 2 land in the industrial program in here, we can see that the total allocations is reaching 9.4 trillion rupiah. And yes, as I told you before, that the ministry allocated 9.4 trillion rupiah to beautify these 2 industrial areas, Batang and Subang, where the budget allocations will be used for a number of construction works in those industrial areas. And regarding this program, the minister, Basuki Hadimuljono, emphasized that the government has prepared the infrastructure to make it easier for investors to enter. And then with this approach, it is hoped that there will be industrial relocations from China to Indonesia. And in addition, the ministry hopes that the development of industrial estates in Batang and Subang will be able to create jobs in Indonesia. And next, a program that is no less interesting is the support for the development of 5 super priority tourism destinations. Let's check the information in the next graphic. Here it is through your screen. We can see the development program of 5 super priority tourism destinations. Here it is. We can see the Toba Lake with the budget allocations of 809 billion rupiah. And then moving on to Borobudur, within a budget of 964 billion rupiah. And then moving on to Mandalika, there is where MotoGP will be held on by 835 billion rupiah. And then moving on to Labuan Bajo, that requires 500 billion rupiah. And the next one is that Manado Bitung Likupang, that reaching 384 billion rupiah. And the total funds allocated by the government for the infrastructure of these 5 super priority tourism destinations is 3.51 trillion rupiah, where the infrastructure to build includes the constructions of the water resources, roads, bridges, as well as the settlement and housing. And meanwhile, during the COVID-19 pandemic, development in 5 super priority destinations is expected to be able to stimulate and restore the national economy, especially in the Indonesia tourism sector, which is one of the sectors that got hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. And yes, viewers, not only explaining the main programs that will be implemented in 2021, the ministry also revealed a number of strategies that will be carried out. And to find out more clearly, let's move on to the next graphic. Here it is through the next graphic. And through your screen, you can see the Public Works Ministry strategy in 2021 program implementations. And therefore, we can see that it includes budget reformations, use of domestic products on SMEs products, and also heavy equipment usage for the restrictions. And the budget reform strategy is carried out through some of a strategy in here and through efficient and quality spending, of course, and this is related to the ministry's budget allocations, which reaches 149.81 trillion rupiah, or the largest compared to the other ministries in 2021. And meanwhile, second strategy is the use of domestic products, or SMEs, where the steps to be carried out by the ministry, namely spending on goods using the state budget and state-owned enterprises, cannot come from abroad, where the use of domestic products is expected to help domestic industries to grow the economy. And as for the third strategy, the ministry will reduce the heavy equipment and will prioritize the use of labor, in the hope that it will be able to absorb more labor. And yes, viewers, moving on to the news coverage regarding the Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing has determined 5 main programs of 2021. One of them is the development of industrial estates in Batang, Central Java, and Subang in West Java, as I mentioned before. Here it is the news coverage.
The Ministry of Public Works and Public Housing has determined 5 main programs that will be implemented next year. The Minister of Public Works and Public Housing, Basuki Hadimulyono, explained that the 5 programs are: first, the Food Security Program in Central Kalimantan, North Sumatra, and East Nusa Tenggara. Then the second program is support the development of industrial estates in Batang, Central Java, and Subang, West Java.
Kemudian dukungan pengembangan kawasan industri di Batang 4.500 hektar dan di Subang sekitar 1.600. Ini dengan pendekatan baru karena kita akan menyiapkan semua prasarana dasarnya seperti jalan-jalan kawasannya, air bersihnya, kemudian rusun untuk tempat para pekerjanya, sanitasinya, sehingga investor masuk tinggal membangun pabriknya, kemudian manajemennya diatur oleh Kementerian BUMN.
Meanwhile, the other programs include the development of 5 super priority tourism destinations, the cash labor intensive program, and the completion of special task and national strategic projects. From all sources, for IDX Channel.
So viewers, hopefully that the main programs and strategies that have been determined can be carried out according to plan and can be a driver of the national economic recovery in 2021. Yes, viewers, stay with us because market headlines will be right back after this quick break.
Senang sekali saya David San Oval dan dapat hadir menemani Anda dalam program spesial dialog webinar on TV.
Setiap minggunya kita akan membahas tema-tema yang sangat menarik. Apa kabar ibu-ibu sekalian?
Alhamdulillah baik.
Salah satu ambisi daripada Kementerian Koperasi dan UMKM bersama Spesko adalah koperasi keren, baru, digital gitu kan, yang kita bisa IT.
Hello, I'm Clara Antawijaya. I'm Associate Producer and News Presenter on Market Headlines. As Market Headlines starts at 4:30 p.m., which is in line with the closing market, therefore we summarize market conditions only for you. And my job in here as a journalist, I give concise and accurate news for the audience. And also, being a journalist is not only a job for me, but it is also a passion. Welcome back to Market Headlines. So viewers, let's take a look at Jakarta Composite Index intraday movement. So earlier today, JCI was open at a level of 6,013.51 and approaching the closing time of the first session, the index was on level of 5,981.03. And then the index was showing weakening trend by the second session closing time, but the index was closed at a level of 6,010.12. And in short, JCI went down 0.04%. And next, we are going to see the sectoral movement. Leading the dynamics of the today's trading, we got music industry as the leader of the weakening trend. Music industry as the leader of the strengthening trend that went up 4.04%. Infrastructure went up 1.47%. And next, we got mining as the leader of the weakening trend that went down 1.17%. And consumer goods that went down 1.15%. And yes, viewers, moving on to top gainers and the top losers, here are the key highlights for today's trading session. Telecom went up 3.92%. We got PJS that went up 4.37%. We got Astro International that went up 4.85%. And EXCL that went up 3.05%. So for the top losers for today's trading, we got BRIS that went down at 2.78%. We got a BBNI still from the banking sector that went down 1.14%. We got HMSP that went down 1.85%. And we got Adaro that went down 2.55%. And next, we are going to see the intraday movement of rupiah towards US dollar. So rupiah opened at level of 14,171. However, rupiah was also showing weakening trend towards US dollar. It was closed at level of 14,131. In summary, rupiah went down 0.62%. And Indonesia Stock Exchange has officially launched new stock index, namely IDX ESG Leaders. And these new index consists of 3 tier stocks that have environmental, social, and governance assessments that are not significantly involved in controversy and have transactions liquidity.
The Indonesia Stock Exchange has officially launched new stock index, namely IDX ESG Leaders. The Indonesia Stock Exchange emphasized that the recently launched index was built based on the ESG risk assessment, which measures the ESG implementation by issuers. The ESG Leaders Index calculation method used the cap free float adjusted market capitalization weighted and ESG tilt factored method with the highest share weight.
Nah, oleh karena itu pada hari ini kami bermaksud meluncurkan indeks baru yang bertema ESG yang kita namakan indeks IDX ESG Leaders, di mana indeks IDX ESG Leaders ini dibangun berdasarkan penilaian risiko ESG yang mengukur sejauh mana penerapan ESG.
In addition, IDX Director of Corporate Development Hasan Fauzi explained that in the launching of ESG Leaders Index, IDX is collaborating with Sustainalytics, an independent institution engaged in ESG research and corporate governance. From Jakarta, Gilang Praditya for IDX Channel.
GMF Aero Asia has prepared a number of strategies to seize the opportunity in 2021 from the aviation and non-aviation segments. And the strategies are expected to boost performance after being depressed by COVID-19 pandemic.
Garuda Maintenance Facility Aero Asia has prepared a number of strategies to seize opportunities in 2021 from both the aviation and non-aviation segments. It is expected to boost performance after being depressed by the COVID-19 pandemic. VP Corporate Secretary and Legal Garuda Maintenance Facility Aero Asia, Rian Fajar, said that in 2021, the company will maximize the potential for aircraft maintenance work belonging to the defense industry. In addition, the company will also continue to increase the business volume of the non-aviation sector in the industrial gas turbine engine sector, which was successfully achieved this year. As a form of business diversification during this pandemic, the company stated that MRO for IGTE would be further boosted to be able to contribute more than 10% of the company's total revenue in the long term. Based on the financial reports as of September 2020, the company reported revenues of $191.82 million, or a decrease of 48.11% year-on-year. The lower income and expenses caused the company to record a loss of up to $160.6 million. From all sources, for IDX Channel.
The role in the media in presenting facts news during this pandemic received appreciations from head of BNPB, Doni Monardo. He acknowledged that the role in press in warding off hoax information greatly helped in COVID-19 handling task force.
Head of the National Disaster Management Agency or BNPB, Doni Monardo, stated that the press has a role as agents of behavior change in the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in dealing with hoax news that deviates from the facts and is widely circulating today. Doni said that previously the COVID-19 handling task force had difficulty refuting or correcting the hoax news, but with the cooperation program with the press in the last 3 months, hoax news could be resolved and information circulating regarding COVID-19 was spread according to fact.
Satgas sangat-sangat terbantu dengan adanya program ini. Karena sebelum ada program ini, sangat banyak sekali berita-berita yang menyimpang dari fakta dan kenyataan. Kami di Satgas sangat kesulitan untuk membantahnya, untuk mengoreksinya. Tapi sejak 3 bulan terakhir ini, setiap ada berita-berita yang mengarah kepada hoax atau berita yang tidak bisa dipertanggungjawabkan kebenarannya, kami dibantu oleh teman-teman wartawan yang tergabung dalam fellowship journalism.
Doni stated that 62% of the success of the COVID-19 socialization program could be done because it was assisted by the press, especially in presenting news that was in accordance with the facts and could ward off various kinds of hoax news circulating. From all sources, for IDX Channel.
Here it is an update data about coronavirus globally. And the news close our market headlines today. Please enjoy our next program on IDX Channel, Your Trustworthy Economic, Business and Capital Market Channel. And one thing to be underlined, even though vaccines have arisen, it doesn't mean that we can ignore health protocol. Keep using your mask, physical distancing, and washing your hand often because it may take a long time to get vaccines distributed. I'm Clara Antawijaya. Have a nice evening and stay safe.